Call to order the Public Improvement Commission, Thursday, May 14, 2015. Public hearing item number 1, on a petition by the Massachusetts Port Authority for the making of specific repairs within Saratoga Street, East Boston, located on its southwesterly side, generally between Anavoy Street and the town of Winthrop boundary, and consisting of new street lights and street lighting conduit, new business, April 30th, 2015, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repair Plan, Saratoga Street, East Boston, one sheet dated March 16, 2015. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Sarah Danishuk. I'm a project manager from Massport. As you said, this project would install Massport own and maintain pedestrian lighting kind of along the back of our property from the Belle Isle Bridge to just east of Anavoy Street. And this installation is in response to community requests to better further and enhance the gateway between East Boston and Winthrop, which saw the improvements with the Belle Isle seafood demolition relocation and the gas station demolition. I'm going to turn it over to Adam Zisk from Dewberry to give a quick recap of what the project entails.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As we noted last time, this includes the work to be done includes specific repairs within a section of property that is within the City of Boston right-of-way. Along the line of proposed lights, there are 3 proposed street lights with foundations, handholds, and interconnecting conduit that will fall within the right-of-way. Other repairs, probably be some minor sidewalk repairs that we're going to help when the utility company moves 2 of their poles. And just other than that, trench work and reseeding and loam and seed following that. Very straight ahead, simple.
Sarah, just for my edification purposes, the green space which Massport is controlling, at least for the foreseeable future, will it still continue to remain as a passive green space?
Yes.
It is not programmed for active space, right?
Correct.
No one else gets to put restaurants or anything. It is just for
As far as I
the...
know.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And thank you for looking after that place very nicely.
Any members of the audience have any comments or questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the petition by Massachusetts Port Authority for making specific repairs in Saratoga Street in East Boston, as described and rendered to the record by the chair and as shown on plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repair Plan for Saratoga Street in East Boston, dated March 16, 2015. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Public hearing item 2, on a petition by the Medical Academic Scientific Community Organization Incorporated for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in Boston proper, consisting of new and relocated pedestrian and vehicular wayfinding signs. New business, April 30, 2015. Longwood Avenue on its southwesterly side, northwest of Brookline Avenue. Brookline Avenue on its northwesterly side, southwest of Longwood Avenue. On its southwesterly side, southwest of Longwood Avenue, and on its southeasterly side, northeast of Fenwood Road. Huntington Avenue on its northwesterly side, southwest of Louis Prang Street. Binney Street on its northwesterly side, southwest of Longwood Avenue, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repair Plan, Longwood Avenue Area Wayfindings Program, Boston proper, 3 sheets dated April 30, 2015. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Del Mandowi of MASCO, the Medical Academic Scientific Community Organization. We represent the 24 members and associate members of the Longwood Medical Academic area. I'm Jay Prouty, our project manager from VHB. Today we're presenting the continuation of a 30-year-old MASCO signage program, which helps pedestrians and drivers navigate their way around the LMA. We're asking approval for 6 signs which have been previously removed or omitted due to construction. And at this time, I'd like to hand over the floor to Jay for
Thanks, Del. Again, my name is Jay Prouty. I'm with VHB. I'll be walking you through the plans. As indicated on sheet 1, this shows the locations of the various 6 signs. The 2 signs shown in green, those are freestanding pedestrian signs. And then the four signs shown in red are the vehicular signage. If you look on sheet 2, that is a more detailed plan view layout of how we've located the signs, as well as renderings of how they'll look. We've coordinated the design. We paid particular attention to locating the signs so as they do not conflict with utilities below. And we've also coordinated the signs with the Office of Disabilities Commission to make sure there's ample pedestrian clearance around the signs. We've coordinated the design with all city agencies to include BRA design review and approval. And then sheet 3 shows the details to include the foundation details below. Happy to answer questions.
Jay stating the obvious, but you have ensured that there's enough clearance from your signpost for ADA requirements,
Yes,
and that it is just not absolute minimum, but it is in the desirable category.
that's correct.
The sign number 2, sign location 2, the picture more than the.
Yep.
Will you be having any advertising on that, or is it just
Yeah, no advertising.
Advertising, no.
purely?
Yep.
None of these are internally lit, or is that correct?
What's that?
None of these are internally lit?
No,
No, so you're relying on outside lighting?
Yes.
Transportation Department's reviewed it for the access clearance for pedestrians. We're satisfied with what's been presented. Also, no thank you for that email of Tillman.
Great. Excellent. Any members of the audience have any comments or questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the petition by medical, academic, scientific community organizations for making specific repairs on Longwood Ave, Brookline Ave, Huntington Ave, and Vinnie Street, described and read into the record by the chair, for the installation of new pedestrian and vehicular wayfinding signs, shown in the set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, specific repair plan for Longwood Ave, for the Longwood Area Wayfinding Program, and the 3 sheets are dated April 30th, 2015. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you, Del.
Thanks, guys.
Public hearing item number 3, on a joint petition by Paradigm Properties and Mr. Gerald Barbarian for the making of specific repairs within Roland Street, Charlestown, located on both sides, generally between Stark Street and Crescent Street, and consisting of curb, sidewalk, and driveway curb cut reconstruction. New business, April 30th, 2015, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repairs Plan, 52-56 Roland Street, Charlestown, 1 sheet dated April 28th, 2015. Good morning.
My name is Brandon Lee from Kelly Engineering Group. Paradigm Properties recently purchased the properties, which consists of 2 office buildings and a parking lot across the street. They recently made renovations to the buildings, including interior and exterior improvements. Roland Street is, after years of neglect, Roland Street is in need of repairs. The applicant would like to upgrade the frontage of the property by repairing the sidewalks. These upgrades include 6.5-foot wide concrete sidewalks with full 6-inch reveal vertical granite curb, as well as 4-foot wide pedestrian access. The city has plans on making improvements to Roland Street. These improvements that the applicant are proposing will offset some of the costs that the city would require. We believe these improvements will be a great benefit to the property as well as Roland Street. We've submitted the plans to various departments and received comments. Some of those comments and changes to the plans include moving mailboxes to provide 4-foot wide pedestrian access, as well as adding environmental castings as required by Boston Water and Sewer. All rims and utility appendices will be adjusted to grade. At the last meeting, under new business, there were 3 comments from the commission. One of the comments was regarding site lighting. The plans have been submitted and reviewed by Glenn Cooper of the Boston Public Works Street Lighting Division. His only comment was that any damages to poles or conduits would be under the cost of the applicant. Another question the commission had was regarding handicap ramps on Stock Street. There are handicap ramps on Stock Street and a crossing. Those sidewalks have recently appeared pretty new. I do have a Google Street View if anybody would like to take a look. And the third comment was on a crosswalk that was previously shown on the plans. The applicant would not like to, is removing the crosswalk from the proposal. And crosswalk is no
So you
longer.
pulled it down?
Yes, it's no longer under request. The commission also commented that we reach out to Tom McKay of the Neighborhood Services. We have updated him with the summary of the last meeting, as well as we also have a letter of support from Tom McKay for the project.
Have you given that letter of support to staff? Have you
Copy.
given, yes, Amy, do you have that letter of support from Mr. McKay?
Are there any questions?
The U.S. Post Office, have they been contacted about the mailboxes that have been being moved?
We have not contacted the U.S. Post Office. But they will be just adjusted slightly to provide for foot-wide pedestrian access.
I think you better contact them before you actually, I mean, you make it a condition of the vote, but just contact them.
We were told that they were contacted. I'm not sure if it was by you, but we were told that they were contacted. But we'll verify.
Okay.
Just to, Amy,
Yes,
is this gentleman, does he have the authority to speak?
yes.
Second, you mentioned something about the city planning on improvements on Roland Street. Could you amplify that thought pattern ever so slightly? What do you mean by city planning on improvements to Roland Street?
Within the next 5 years, they have plans to repave Roland Street as well as repair sidewalks.
Yeah, they entered in Kobuk, so they found out when
They want
our,
the conflict, so it's a paving program.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Any members of the audience have any comments or questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the petition of Paradigm Properties and Mr. Gerard Barbarian for the maintenance of specific repairs within Roland Street, Charlestown, located on both sides, generally between Stock Street and Preston Street, and consisting of curb, sidewalk, driveway, curb cut reconstruction, all shown on plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, specific repairs, for 52-56 Roland Street, Charlestown, one sheet dated April 28, 2015.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you, Mr. Lee. Public hearing item number 4, on a petition by R.G. Vanderweel Engineers LLP for the making of specific repairs within Summer Street, South Boston, located on its northeasterly side between addresses 266 and 274 Summer Street, and consisting of new private telecommunication conduit beneath the sidewalk. New business, April 30th, 2015, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repairs Plan, Private Telecom Conduit, 266-2674 Summer Street, South Boston, one sheet dated December 2014. Good morning.
Hi, I'm Sarah Broll, and I'm here with the building manager, Eric Carlson, and John Schmid from Niche Engineering, seeking to put an underground conduit in the sidewalk connecting two of Vanderweil's buildings on Summer Street. And I will let John take it from here.
Good morning. We introduced this project 2 weeks ago. Vanderweil owns 266 and 274 Summer Street, and they've had a substantial expansion over the last couple of years. And they need to provide IT services between their two buildings. They presently have a gentleman's agreement with the butter between them, and it's running conduit and cable across the roof of that building. My client is proposing to pay for and install conduit within the public sidewalk between 266 and 274 Summer Street. And our hope is to coordinate that work with the city's contract for the Summer Street reconstruction. We are very well aware that that work could happen in 1 year or 3 years. It's in the works, but there's no guarantee of when and if that will happen. At new business, with that conduit, we're also providing a city shadow, so it's a set shadow is available in the future for the city, and we are installing sidewalk plaques, so it's very evident that there is conduit within those sidewalks. At new business, the question was raised about is there any shadow available from other utilities. After that meeting, I went back to my office and reviewed our survey. Actually, Niche had prepared that survey. And there was really nothing on this side of the street as far as electrical or Verizon conduit that could possibly be available for our use. So we are asking that the commission approve this application.
So the existing Verizon service connections to the buildings,
In the back.
they're not from Summer Street?
They are from Summer Street, yes.
So would you want to probably?
No, I'm sorry, they're from Congress Street. The question that I took from that meeting was, is there conduit, a spare conduit within the street on our side of the
Looking
site?
at maybe improving the service connection lateral to enable you to service the building from the existing facilities.
No.
So we're not digging up the sidewalk, that would be potentially a future interconnect that we want to put in that sidewalk.
Right. Well, this conduit is 3 conduits, 2 for the proponent, 1 for the city. It'll be within 3 feet of the building face. The Verizon feed that I understand does come from Congress Street, not Summer Street.
So could you work it that way? That way you're not digging up the street, right?
No, folks, I think to add to what Commissioner Hesford saying, the plans for Summer Street, including the area underneath the sidewalk, it hasn't been fully flushed through. So we don't know exactly what the space requirements are. You are going to occupy a very needed area 3 feet below, but the transportation department may need to install their interconnect conduits. City street lighting folks may want to install. My concern is that we want you to do this, but whether your work will impede the city in rebuilding Summer Street. So that's what we are trying to figure out. And what Mr. Hesford was saying, both buildings should have lateral connections from the main trunk line coming off Summer Street, and whether they can supplement the lateral connections, because it is possible, not sure whether you check whether there's excess capacity within the Verizon duct banks in itself.
The question that I understood at the last meeting and I responded to in an email after that new business meeting was, is there conduit within this side of Summer Street, spare conduit available for this use? I reviewed the plans and there was nothing on this side of the street. The question that we have today is different than what I understood 2 weeks ago. And it sounds as though...
I think I was pretty clear at the last meeting, locating the existing Verizon infrastructure and how you could work that into the buildings.
Then we misunderstood. So if that is the ask, then we will ask for a continuance and we will talk to Verizon to see if there is anything available.
Or another way is, Tom, how is the agreement written? If the city needs, if the city needs to occupy the space which these nice folks are in need of, what rights do the city have? Do we have the right to ask them to move it at their expense?
Yes.
But then it can be very disruptive, right? I mean, the last thing you want is to have that there for 3 years and then for you to move it, because it will be awkward for our contractors to move it in case if we damage it. So I can't touch yours.
If we were to, I believe this space would be going into the basement of both buildings. If we were to lower it, say, instead of being at 3 feet, if we said, we will work with the city contractor, perhaps we put it at 8 feet down.
Exactly. Lower it so that at a higher depth, if we want to plant a tree or put lighting or any other normal stuff. So Amy, if you could give some guidance to John and company to locate their assets so that it doesn't become a point of awkwardness for you in 3 years or the city in 3 years.
Just below our 6x6 box.
Miss Connie will give you the guidance. But thank you for sharing, because that your lateral connections into the building will be from the basement, because that sort of clarifies how deep you can go.
I believe we could go as deep as 10.
Maybe
Yep,
accommodate it so that we can plant a tree.
absolutely.
I'm sorry, I wasn't here 2 weeks ago, but I'll get on my soapbox. You're an engineering company, you're not a utility company. Why would the city allow you to interconnect your two buildings?
We, as the engineering firm, we've grown exponentially in the last couple of years. In 2014, we grew by 100 people, and this year we're exceeding that pace. In fact, next month, between the 18th of the...
Oh, you're a big company, I know that. All right, I'm asking
We need
you,
to occupy space in both buildings in order to staff our employees.
but you're not a utility company.
No, I never said we were.
Why would the city allow you to dig up the city streets and put and
We're not
interconnect
asking-
your building?
we're not asking
Interconnect your
the city
building.
to- We're asking when the sidewalk when the sidewalk program is done, we would like to work at that time with the city, when they've opened up the sidewalk for the renovation work of the sidewalk, to then install the conduit.
Why don't we treat you like every other building owner and tell you to go to the utility company and hook up? And that's what the Ed from the transportation department asked you. You're not a utility company. We should, the city has to get out of the business of allowing private building owners to interconnect and use city space. It's not, if we allowed everybody to interconnect their buildings, there's gonna be no space at all in the city streets and sidewalks. What our job is to try and control, what goes under the sidewalks and goes under the streets. And we're not doing a very good job right now if we're allowing an engineering company to interconnect their buildings. Makes no sense to me. And I would have said that 2 weeks ago if I was here 2 weeks ago. Have you registered as a utility company?
No.
All right, then why are we here?
Well, when we started this process in December...
And a plaque in the street doesn't do anything for me. A plaque in the street telling me a private company, private owner of a building has wires in the sidewalk.
In regards to the DigSafe registration, we reached out to them in December, and the response we got from them, from Robert Finelli, Executive Director, was that they don't understand why private equity is being told to register with DigSafe. So we reached out to them, we got pushback from them.
And we're pushing back from this commission saying that you're not a utility and you can't put any wires in the city, under the city sidewalk.
And we're saying that this is for private use, but we are also coordinating with the city and its construction process. Whenever that happens, we won't dig it up until the city is ready to, and we are providing shadow conduit for the city.
I mean, 268 Summer Street, you're digging in front of his property.
We have a letter from the abutter supporting our
If
application.
he sells it, 6 months from now, is the city gonna get a complaint and say, why'd you do this?
Could I ask that we continue this, and we will investigate our options with Verizon to see if that's something that's feasible, and then come back in a month and revisit this with you?
Absolutely. I appreciate that.
That would be June 11th? Is that all right, John? I'll entertain a motion to continue this until June 11th.
I'll make a motion to continue agenda item number 4, which is the petition by RG Vanderwell Engineering LLP for specific repairs in Summer Street, which was for telecommunication conduit beneath the sidewalk. Continue to, what was it?
June 11th.
June 11th, 2015.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay, we'll see you on the 11th of June.
Thank you.
First item of new business, Electric Avenue, North Beacon Street, Goodenow Street, Parsons Street, Faneuil Street, Brighton, grant of location on a petition by Eversource.
Good morning, Rick Schiffoni from Eversource Electric. I'm here with John Hoey from our Community Relations team. And David Petersall from our project team to discuss our station work that we plan in Brighton. Unless there's any preliminary questions, David can probably dig right in and start going over the project and what we plan on doing.
Okay, good morning.
Morning.
Ladies. The proposed Station 315 is located at 40 Electric Ave in the Brighton section of the City of Boston. The station is being developed to service the increased load requirements for portions of the City of Boston neighborhoods of not only Brighton and Allston, but also Longwood Medical. These existing neighborhoods, as well as portions of Dorchester, Jamaica Plain, Mission Hill, Roxbury, Kenmore, Fenway, are currently serviced by other substations, including one small one in Brighton and one on Colburn Street near the Jamaica Way and Huntington Ave. Due to significant development in the city, and specifically throughout these individual neighborhoods, this particular new station, 315, is needed to provide additional capacity and reliability to the region. So the work primarily consists of bringing existing transmission lines into and out of the station from existing locations in North Beacon Street and building new distribution lines from the new station, figuring out to the other existing locations. The distribution duct banks will be used exclusively for electrical circuiting. There's no plans to lease any ducts to any telecoms. The primary streets that we'll be using are shown on this drawing here, and they include Electric Ave, Parsons Street, Faneuil Street, Goodenow Street, and North Beacon Street, and terminating roughly at Market Street. Massachusetts Department of Public Utilities provided regulatory approval to NSTAR, which is now Eversource, in September of 2014. There's been a significant amount of public outreach already conducted. We've had 2 community meetings chaired by John Hoey, and also has had conversations with the councilman and Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Affairs. Additional public outreach will be further conducted through construction with flyers and hotlines on the project website. All the major businesses in the vicinity, specifically those on Electric Ave where the majority of the work will occur, have been contacted. Welch Corp, Valley Crest Landscaping, Jaguar dealership, Fay Photo. All the work was going to be performed in accordance with the City of Boston rules and specifications for excavation activity. All the work hours and work locations will be coordinated through Boston Transportation Department and the Hesford. The temporary traffic management plans have already been submitted and reviewed by Ed, Mr. Hesford, and a 48-hour advance signing will be employed per all VTT regulations and requirements. Any parking meter deposits will also be handled by Eversource, as well as police details in the City of Boston. The vast majority of the work is strictly in roadways. We have minimal sidewalk disturbances. Any sidewalks disturbed will be reconstructed per the Massachusetts Architectural Access Board requirements, and that was coordinated with Catherine Quigley, the City of Boston Architectural Access Specialist. Street lighting coordination has occurred with Mr. Glenn Cooper, the DPW Street Lighting Division. There's no tree removal anticipated. However, if any is necessary, or if there is any vegetation management, like pruning required, Eversource does have an arborist on staff. We've had addressed concerns of Liza Meyer, the Chief Landscape Architect of Parks and Recreation, relevant to some sidewalk areas, and through discussions with her, we did remove a lot of the distribution duct bank out of sidewalk areas and minimize the impacts to that. There will be a City of Boston shadow duct with pull boxes to be installed. It's in our design, and that was coordinated with Amy Gording, PIC Chief Engineer. And Eversource plans to perform all the trench restoration and full-width pavement restoration where required. And in addition to the full-width restoration of at least 1,450 feet of Parsons Street, which is still on the guaranteed street list through October of 17, Electric Ave will also be restored entirely, as well as any other area that has significant disruption. And other mitigation and preventive measures, such as rodent control programs, will be implemented by Eversource through their contractors. That's all I have as far as a presentation. If you have any questions or
we're ready for any questions or any discussions that need to go on. Todd and I have been working along with this project from the get-go.
Someone, most of the streets are 40-foot roadways, I think. Are they 40-foot right-of-ways? Most of them?
For the most part.
For the most part. So if you could give the commission members some understanding as to the depth and the width of your average cut.
Certainly. The average distribution duct bank is a 3/3. It's a 9 conduits, if you will. Okay? It's about 2.5 feet by 2.5 feet of duct bank space. So it's one slot. The depth obviously varies because we've had significant discussions and coordination with the other utilities that we have to thread our work between. The most significant discussions were held with Boston Water Sewer Commission. Those design details were really developed over the course of nearly a full year. So there's actually some Boston Water Sewer Commission facilities like sanitary sewer, some storm drain, and some water lines that we're going to relay for them at their request. Eversource has actually signed a letter to the Boston Water Sewer Commission acknowledging that work. So we're working in concert with the Boston Water Sewer Commission on that regard.
So recognizing that there can be significant damage to the city asset, which is the roadway, can we look for a commitment from your team? Because I think in your testimony you said that you will try and pave curb to curb on most of the streets that have significant impacts, rather than being judgmental as to what the definition of the word significant being. Can we have a commitment from you that wherever you are cutting our street, that you will pave it curb to curb to the full limits of what you are cutting? Can we have that understanding?
We could go over the plans before we apply for any permits and commit before we actually apply for a permit of where we're going to go and get a buy-in from the city on whether we'll be doing curb to curb in that area and then permit it through Ian's group.
My preference, Rick, would be before this commission brings this up for a public hearing vote, that we have that understanding, so this way it doesn't become a loose
We had
edge.
some conversations like that internally, and some discussions have really occurred with a lot of Boston Water Sewer discussions, because some of their facilities in the area are so aged that they were very concerned about their facilities being damaged, and that's why Eversource took the position that, yes, we'll help you if you help us, so to speak. There's no question, Electric Ave, curb to curb. Parsons Street, at least from Electric Ave to North Beacon, curb to curb. Parsons Street, probably to Faneuil Hall, Faneuil Street, curb to curb.
So I'm in a...
I can go street to street and tell you exactly where we foresee the need for a curb-to-curb restoration.
So since I'm lacking photographic memory of exactly how those streets look like today, the guidance I can give the commission members is that if you touch it, you will pave it from curb to curb until you prove to us through the chief engineer that the condition of the street is such, or the amount of your disturbance is such, that the people who live on that street is not going to, I mean, they will definitely benefit from your improvements to the delivery system, but there's a city asset which we are trying to. So it is still our desire, you cut it, you own it, you pave it from edge to edge until you can prove to us otherwise. Okay?
So we can certainly work with our...
Understand.
So
We'll permit it that way, that as far as in the permit, it'll specify that we'll do curb to
curb to
curb.
curb, unless like this full limits, everything that is being brought in front of this commission, you will pave it curb to curb unless the city overrides that and asks you to do something less.
Understood.
Okay?
All right, yeah,
that's
so
how it is
there'll be
structured.
no mistake.
Not the other way around where you will do parts and parts.
Okay.
Thank you.
We've spent a lot of time with this project. It's going to be difficult. A couple of things I want to bring up is whatever the permanent paving is, after they do the trench repair, is that the permanent paving be held up for a while, because with this type of thing, you're bound to get some leaks, and you give the other utilities, gas companies, enough time to just check everything out, so we don't digging up a brand new street. And when the level 3 dig came through the city, another significant dig, and there were some repairs that had to be made after that. And
Well,
it just
absolutely
makes sense.
Mr. Shea, what we'd actually planning to do is have an entirely separate paving contract. So the civil contractor that will do all the trench work and duct bank installation, and will do trench repair initially. But let it lay fallow for a year, let any settlement occur, make sure any other adjacent facilities such as your own aren't adversely impacted, then come back maybe up to 12 months later at the city's bequest and do the full width restoration. That is our
That's a
plan.
very sensible, as Commissioner Shea is saying. The city will achieve an understanding as to how many months it needs to be, because there can be collateral consequences. But as long as the city is assured that at the end of the day, after a reasonable period of time, it will be your agency that is responsible for curb-to-curb paving. So we will have one common stop, one-stop accountability.
Right, and that, again, those permits, again, would all be coordinated through the city as required.
Chung says he can draft something quickly that spells out the terms of the. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah,
very
just some way to identify to Ian McNeil's office where we're paving and where we're not, so it'll be permitted accordingly.
Yeah.
The other point I wanted to make was, I think after the plans were signed, maybe, we were notified of down on Parsons Street, of a small piece of sewer pipe. We were gonna replace it, but you're gonna be there first, so you agreed to, it's like 8 feet of pipe or something like that.
Yes.
So that, and the agreement was you replace it, you can lay your conduit on top.
Exactly, we already revised that one sheet, and I'm ready to work with Phil Rock of your office, and that's all set.
Thank you.
The drawings here are the title sheet showing N-Star. Or is it N-Star or is it Eversource?
It'll be NSTAR doing business as Eversource will be the way the grant will be issued, because we legally still are NSTAR doing business as Eversource.
Well, I'm trying to get some closure, all right? And we had a hearing probably about 2 months ago, and I asked for a commitment that was made by NSTAR and RCN when they were pulling wire illegally through the city streets. They made a commitment to the city of Boston to interconnect all city buildings. And I asked for a status on that, and the law department, thankfully put out a letter to Eversource. Eversource tried to dismiss the whole request by basically, giving us a list of the buildings that were connected, which weren't all the city buildings, obviously, and said that, in effect, they said that Eversource doesn't have to live up to the commitments made by NSTAR, because NSTAR is no longer an entity anymore. And now I see plans in front of me with NSTAR. What is it? This really upsets me.
I'll get you an answer. It most likely was NSTAR Communications, which is a subset of NSTAR at the time, but I don't have an answer directly for you right now, Gary, but I will get you one.
No, get it to the law department. The city may accept what NSTAR has already, what RCN, NSTAR, whoever, what they've done so far. I'm just trying to put closure on whether or not we've accepted it. You obviously, or they obviously, whoever obviously, didn't connect all the city buildings. Didn't happen, all right? Some of them have, are interconnected. You have the list. I think Mike is gonna review it and say whether or not we're gonna accept it or not. But, what upsets me is that the letter that was sent from Eversource says they have nothing to do with NSTAR. And then I see drawings submitted on a petition by Eversource with NSTAR's insignia.
Commissioner Chung Liu from to the law department. I fully understand what your issues are, and we're going to look into whether Eversource doing business as NSTAR G Electric. That's, I assume, whether that's the same company who entered into the joint venture agreement with RCN to form the RCN Beco LLC. we will look into that and making the arrangement to meet with Mike Lynch and RCN and N-Star Communication to resolve to this issue.
Thank you, John. I would just ask that John Latt from ONS, I know Mr. Hoy does a great job with the public outreach program, and any of the jobs that you do, to possibly have Mr. Latt here to testify on behalf of the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services, just with all the due diligence that went on with respect to the public outreach. It is a large project. It will inconvenience many for some time. When do you plan on starting? And how long will it take?
We would start, honestly, as soon as we have approvals. This is really the last approval we're waiting upon. And then submit for street opening permits through BTD as appropriate. We have the contractors basically ready to go. And we're anxious, obviously, because we're in the season. The winter moratorium just ended April 15th here. We're already at the end of May. We're very anxious to get started, get a lot of those facilities in the ground. What's really critical is ISO New England controls transmission outages windows. And you don't have an outage during peak seasons, which is normally summer or winter loads. We're only going to have an outage in the fall or spring. So it's critical we get this infrastructure in the ground in 2015 and then apply for a spring of 16 outage so that we can energize the station and provide the relief to these communities that's necessary.
So you're looking at 2 seasons of construction work or 1 season?
It'll be multiple seasons.
I'm going to throw more wrench into this. You know, you said you were going to put in fiber optic, city shadow.
Right.
All right. Why aren't we asking for other participants?
We did. They notified for participants.
They no other participants?
Right.
Sorry. So you're looking at multiple seasons of construction?
Right, the majority, yeah, sorry.
But to follow up on Commissioner Dennehy's question, how many seasons? The relevance is you will be tearing up, the neighborhood streets are going to be torn up over multiple years, and then the paving will take place a year after everything settles. It is useful for us to know how many years will the neighborhood be inconvenienced with Eversource system upgrade work.
If we could get started
2015.
Say call June 1st theoretically, and a lot depends upon our negotiations or discussions with Ed and what else is going on in this vicinity, the city. We could go with a minimum of 3 work fronts in the city of Boston area and then probably knock it all out. But I don't know that we'll get the authority to do so. If we could get up to, say, 4 or 5 work fronts, then there's no question it wouldn't take multiple seasons. But, it's ready June 1st, November 15th, because it comes up quick during when people are trying to get trench work done. So it's a coordination effort, and what we think will work with the city will just
I
work
think
with the city.
from the transportation, obviously, we've been reviewing this for over a year, and I think we've come to a pretty good place right now within the construction methodology and staging. That it's our hope that you will have some multiple crews, and obviously not in the concurrent areas, but at the exterior.
Different fingers.
Correct.
Absolutely, yes. That's our plan. That's what we hope to be able to work together with you. Well, temporary traffic management plans, obviously, have been reviewed, but any site-specific plans that might be necessary for any particular circumstance would obviously be developed in conjunction with Mr. Estes.
And the good thing about this is, as we develop these construction management plans and traffic management, as we get some of them resolved, John Hoey went out to the community, solicited input, what they thought, so we're on a good track here with the community, so I appreciate that.
Thank you. Will 2 weeks be enough time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, all right, we'll see you on May 28th for a public hearing.
All right, what do we owe you before then? Then I just want to recapitulate, make sure we answer any open questions before next.
We'll create a paving agreement for you guys to look at and enter into, and we'll put it on file with the permitting office so they're aware of what your repaving is going to look like.
With that understanding, your permits will be contingent, subject to the restoration.
Right.
So
And-
2 years, 3 years, whenever you will be responsible.
And a representative from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Service at the next hearing.
And we want clarification on the commitment. I want that, let's resolve that issue.
We need to start to address, we need to get in touch with the right people within NSTAR, Communication, or Eversource, whoever the name is. I know there's a lot the corporate consolidation to going on, keep in touch with us. We'll have a meeting to start to address Commissioner Mosher's to concern.
And they
will give you a call. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Second item of new business, 70 Sleeper Street, Old Sleeper Street, South Boston, Sidewalk Cafe, on a petition by FPC Hotel LLC.
Good morning. Amy Prange with Colliers. We're the owner's project manager for FPC Hotel, the developer of the Envoy Hotel, located at 70 Sleeper Street. I wanted to start off by saying thank you to the commission for your help in the specific repairs of Old Sleeper Street. It should be finished by the end of the month, and it looks great. It's very different than a lot of other streets in the city, and but I just want to say thank you. The hotel should be open mid-June. We're working to finish the site work by the end of the month, like I said, and we went through in 2013 for specific repairs all around the project site. We did not have a restaurant operator at that time, so we postponed the cafe license until now. The hotel will be operating the restaurant themselves, and I'll turn it over to John Schmidt from Niche to discuss the details of the cafe seating.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. So as Amy indicated, Old Sleeper Street reconstruction will be done in June when the hotel opens, and that was the layout of Old Sleeper Street, and specific repairs were approved by this commission in February 2013. And Old Sleeper Street is what I would call a pedestrian-friendly street. It's open to public traffic for deliveries and emergency vehicles, but generally its focus is more on the pedestrian experience. You may also recall we were here last fall for the Sidewalk Cafe as part of the Barking Crab project, that I will be opening their cafe as the street becomes, as the work is being completed. The application before you today is part of the hotel's restaurant use, which has always been envisioned for this project, and it runs right along the side of the hotel. Now, the best way to explain this, if you're not familiar with it, is the Ames Hotel next door, where you have the hotel and then you have that raised plaza that's used for restaurant experience, and that's also within the BRA space. So this is a raised about 2.5 feet high. It's flush at this end, and then this area is level to some steps at this end. There's some steps in the middle here as the Sleeper Street drops down in grade. So right about the center here, it's about a 30-inch difference between the restaurant grade and the sidewalk street grade. We are proposing a total of about 46 seats with 21 tables of various sizing. Approximately half of the space is within private property, and the other half is within the right-of-way. There are box planters along the top of the steps to protect the user and the chairs from going over the edge, so that's been thought out. As far as all the furniture associated with the restaurant and cafe, that's part of the application and it's been reviewed and approved by the city's agencies. We have provided engineer's report where everyone has indicated that they have no objections to this application. I'm happy to take any questions.
Quick question, I just hope I heard you correctly. On Old Sleeper Street, on the portion of the sidewalk that is on the city layout, not on the private area, are you saying that for you to program the sidewalk cafe, there will be a great difference within the city-owned sidewalk space?
The hotel grade here is 18.2, and the plaza is level with that, and then there's a retaining wall and some steps, and then it's flush at this end. Sleeper Street drops down in grade, so at about the center here, there's about a 24 to 30-inch difference with steps. There is a there's a concrete sidewalk within the Sleeper Street right-of-way as part of the specific repairs plan. And then so the cafe is partially within the public way, but it really focuses on the restaurant.
The point I'm trying to make is or distinguish the steps that are needed to address the grade difference has nothing to do with you programming the space for a sidewalk. Is that correct?
No.
Okay. So it is independent.
Right, and that work has already been designed and constructed.
Designed and constructed.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you're just, those steps are there, has nothing to do with your sidewalk cafe. It is just for accessibility purposes.
Just to deal with the grading.
So if the city do elect to remove this sidewalk cafe in the future because we want to program Old Sleeper Street in a different way, everything will be held harmless if we ever decide to reconsider both the parking crab permit and your permit.
Right, and there's a signed LMI for specific repairs for Old Sleeper Street with the hotel already, and that's all in place.
Yeah, everything looks good. I think I didn't pick it up, but the BRA has looked at this and they're okay with it?
Yeah, Jill Zick has looked at this and we have her sign off.
Is there going to be a restaurant operator?
The hotel.
Is going to do the whole thing?
Yes.
Okay, sounds to me like 2 weeks will be enough time.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see you for a public hearing on May 28th.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Third item of new business, Devonshire Street, Milk Street, State Street, Boston proper, City Shadow Rental on a petition by Level 3 Communications LLC. Good morning.
Scott Melman with Level 3 Communications, and we're petitioning the city to acquire City Shadow Duct along State Street, Devonshire, and Milk Street. We worked with the city permits department to come up with a fee associated with purchasing or the leasing of that City Shadow, roughly $51,000. It's to extend our network off of State Street and to get us potentially in front of some buildings for future build-up.
This is what it is all.
Made Gary happy. 2 weeks enough time for a public hearing? Great. We'll see you on May 28th. Thank you very much. Fourth item of new business, 1350 Boylston Street, Kilmarnock Street, Boston proper. Pedestrian easements, specific repairs on a set of petitions by SCD 1350 Boylston Street LLC.
Morning.
Good morning.
I'm Don Wiest with Dane Torpy here in Boston. With me is Mark McGowan from the petitioner, an affiliate of Skanska Development, also Steve Martirano from Bowler Engineering. Before we turn to the specific details, I'd be happy to provide a project overview if that would be helpful. The project site is at the intersection of Boylston and Kilmarnock Streets in the Fenway. This is that stretch of Boylston Street that's been undergoing transformation in the past decade. This was a former Burger King site. Burger King has just recently decommissioned. The project itself will be a 17-story residential tower, approximately 212 units, roughly 100 parking spaces. There will be a retail base as well. The nature of the project requires reconstruction of the sidewalks on 2 streets, given the intersection. Also, the Fenway zoning requires a project proponents to widen the sidewalk and create a generous pedestrian sidewalk. So we're here before you with 2 separate items. One is specific repairs petition, and the second is concerns pedestrian easements along both Boylston and Kilmarnock to create that widened sidewalk.
I'll walk you through some of the specific design elements and how we got to where we are today. The first thing to understand is the Boston Transportation Department has engaged HDR Engineering to do a master plan for Boylston Street, and they're at a 25% level. We're taking their design intent in that 25% design and trying to implement those pieces that are in front of our property. So what that means and what those elements are is so over closest to the intersection, they're moving the curb line out a little to add some width to the sidewalk. And what that allows is room for some pocket parks. So basically have some benches and some decorative paving. And it just provides an amenity space in a public way. To accommodate that and to comply with the ADA requirements, you need an additional 5 feet of land. So we're providing an easement and the 5-foot ADA compliant concrete sidewalk, which will be on the private property, which is what the purpose of the easement is for. And that runs the entire length of the Boylston Street side of the property. The other elements that are happening in that space are introduction of street trees that don't exist today, and the decorative street lighting. So we're replacing all the existing poles along our frontage with the decorative poles as indicated by Boston Lighting. And those will be consistent with what you see on the other projects occurring on Boylston Street, and as well as future projects. We are doing something similar along Kilmarnock. The master plan does not address Kilmarnock Street, but we are adding some width to the sidewalk. We're adding some street trees, and similar to Boylston, we need to provide an easement on the private land to accommodate the full 5-foot concrete sidewalk to meet the ADA requirements. So all those items have been coordinated on this plan. We do have a couple of items that we've received comments from Boston Lighting and Disabilities that will change between now and the final version of this plan. We think they're good comments and relatively minor, but one is we're just going to be on that first bench, we're going to bring the poured concrete sidewalk right up to that bench to make that bench more accessible, as well as we're going to shift these 3 street trees here. We're going to shift those closer to the curb line, which will add a little bit of sidewalk width there beyond the 5 foot, just to make it a little more comfortable, particularly where we're projecting that in the future we may do some sidewalk cafe that will be on the private property, not within the public right-of-way, but just to accommodate that future, anticipate that future use in that area. Little added sidewalk width just will enhance the ADA accessibility on that route. We do have a couple of items that we've received some not necessarily conflicting, but difference of opinion on how certain elements should be handled. In the 25% master plan, there is an indication that they'd like to see some uplighting on the trees, as well as some private receptacles, so electrical receptacles at those tree pits. I see some. We thought
we'll give you guidance to manage that situation. We will give you guidance today to manage that situation.
And that is what we were looking for. So that I think summarizes the changes that we're looking to do within the public right-of-way. So we're open to discussing those 2 specifics as well as any other comments.
If the Commission permits me, I have a question with regards to a little notch. There's only one notch. No, on the sidewalk. Why is that? Because again, I'm not sure whether that is consistent with the Boylston Street master plan. The whole idea was to have an ample, wide sidewalk, not to create little notches for your delivery purposes or parking purposes, unless it has been requested specifically by the Transportation Department. Because the Commission has concerns or has had prior concerns about exclusive little notches for the private use. Boylston is going to be a major arterial. It's a snow arterial where we take out all cars. So maintaining and clearing snow off those areas is going to be a challenge. So my question is, why the notch?
Well, I will say that notch is shown on the 25% design plans by HDR. But
again, it's 25%.
Yes, that's why. It's not less. Please, hopefully you recognize,
Agreed.
Chris, that it is, I'm sorry, Steve, right?
Yes.
Steve, it is 25%. It's a concept. At a concept, the basic premise is wider sidewalks, not to that level of detail in front of a specific location, unless you have similar notches up and down Boylston Street. This is not the first block that has been programmed and built. So again, lack of photographic memory to know what has been built today. If you can demonstrate to us that we, the commission and the city have allowed little notches up and down the street, then my thoughts can be adjusted.
And again, it's 25% BTD engineering. I'm sure Public Works engineering hasn't been plugged into this yet. I'm sure it's the DRA and the BTD planning having their architectural charrettes. So we haven't been plugged into that decision yet. So it's a little early right now.
Understood.
To take it like the cost to, like, it's too early to take it as the be-all, end-all design guidelines. That's thought pattern one. As far as your lighting concerns, there are very subtle ways you can introduce light upwards. You have to be concerned about the power delivery system. How do you shield it? Is it an open light? Is it spotlight? So there's a ton of questions which we can enter into dialogue, so you can make it more of a visual feature versus lights shining in the vertical direction. As far as your outlets are concerned, there are ways which we can manage the outlets and the location of the outlets so that a canine critter, when they interact with trees to relieve their whatever, doesn't get electrocuted. Okay? So there are ways which we can program the location of the plug points so that you can adorn the tree during festival times for lights without compromising headaches to the Public Works Commissioner with stray voltage coming from, what's the polite way of saying it, dogs doing their thing.
Sure.
Okay. So Ms. Cording can give you guidance on how all of that can be adjusted.
My specialty.
Yes. Without creating hot dogs, you know.
So one of our questions on the uplights is really, what is we're trying to obviously implement a very preliminary version of the Boylston master plan. And the uplights is really we understood that that's a direction that Boylston Street is maybe being guided to go towards. And we're not sure what this commission feels, how this commission feels about that. Is that something we want to put in now? Do we want the master plan to develop further and maybe make some conduit installations so when there's a more detailed plan of or comprehensive plan of how those street trees should be lit or should not be lit, there's a way to just easily implement those in the future? We're just trying to do our piece of the overall master plan, and with it at such a preliminary level, we're not trying to set the precedent, we're just trying to implement what the city's vision is. So
there are gradients to what the uplighting can be. Are you going to light the whole tree, or is it just a little light feature as a wayfinding thing? So first question someone's going to ask is how much luminance is going to pop out. Okay. And since we don't know that, I think we can enter some sort of a dialogue so you will be properly guided before the public hearing.
The city still has concerns on stray voltage, all right? So anytime if you're looking at your housing is stainless steel, brass, and aluminum, I think it is. All right, so I mean, anytime you're going to put this is going to be in the sidewalk. Street lighting should take a look at it, and maybe they may tell you that they want a different housing than metal. So
They're going to require a non-conductive sleeve in a composite housing.
all right. And the other thing is you had mentioned outlets. All right. Now if you're going to have outlets, I have a concern because now obviously they get damaged all the time, and now we have. And they're on city property, so there's a huge concern there. I think the place to start is street lighting, and you have to get their approval for anything that goes out there. So, is it going to be maintained by the city or maintained by the building?
So Mark McGowan from Skanska, just to give color again, our main objective through the process has been to satisfy the vision of the city. And maybe our mistake a little bit was to listen to the loudest voice in terms of the planning side to accommodate and make folks happy. So with respect to the lighting element, I think we're wanting to please, that we didn't want to be the only 4 trees on the street that didn't have the ability to light around Christmas time. So we want to do the right thing and make it something that we can repeat throughout the city to have it be safe. So we're just in this tough spot to try and satisfy folks, but we hear your concerns and we want to do the right thing, but maybe we got a little ahead of ourselves in terms of believing what the 25% was going to do and the timing of that. So we appreciate your comments on that.
Just to that effect, where are we in the process? The Article 80 tap-up?
Article 80 was done 2013, ZBA 2014 in May, and TAP has been submitted. We're working with BTD to wrap that up. We have a target to start construction in August, mid-August, next on the list. We're developing that as we talk, and we know we have to come in and see you. Yeah.
Will you be able to get it all done, especially the CMP, within the next 2 weeks, since you have not chatted with Mr.
I think that's pretty aggressive on the construction management plan to do that, so we wouldn't expect that in terms of timing, but if that's a condition, we know we got to wrap it all up.
It should be concurrently done with the TAPA. That way, issues like this.
Yeah. Understood. Understood. Okay.
And I'll look into the TAPA. Who's that, Rachel?
Charlotte.
Catherine Quigley, Disability Commission. I just want to point out that the Disability Commission has not been involved or even seen the Boylston Street master plan. So when this was brought to me, it was a surprise, and we're willing to work with them, but we're concerned that we worked all of last year to pass a sidewalk cafe design guideline that said that when sidewalk cafes were proposed, they would have to protect 50% of the sidewalk. When these sidewalk cafes, although on private property, will be implemented, they will limit the right-of-way to 5 feet. However, the sidewalk is being extended to be 16 feet. So, we need to acknowledge that we are significantly limiting the right-of-way. By increasing the width of the sidewalk area, we're basically making tree pits in a field of brick, which we do not consider accessible. So although the proponent has suggested we will be working together, I'd like to take a step back and make a point that we should be making these efforts for pedestrians who are using the sidewalk, not just for the tree pits, especially if we're creating drop-off zones with these bump outs. We are also indicating tree pits in drop-off areas. That's considered an architectural barrier and a problem for all abled bodies as well as disabled. So, I strongly recommend that the commission take a step back and think about access from the street to the sidewalk and as well as down the sidewalk. 5 feet merely limits 2 people passing. It does not allow for multiple people passing at a time. So when you see the field of concrete that's proposed, that's partially public but significantly private. And so as a city, I think we really need to take that into consideration, that they'll have the ability to block all of that sidewalk off. Thank you.
I'll set up a meeting with the BRA, because I think at this point, between accessibility, street lighting, and parks, all with the notion of uplighting and specialty paving that's being, we're going forward on a 25% design that no city agencies have seen because it hasn't advanced past then.
And just for collective edification purposes, the 25% design which you are speaking of is not an approved 25% design. Okay? So it's like a 24.5% design. And I say that with almost tongue in cheek. It hasn't gone through the necessary review process. Okay? So it is not enough. But I know you all are trying to do the right thing. and it would be nice if we had full guidance, and we appreciate your understanding. So hopefully we can resolve all these outstanding issues to give urban design vision for that corridor that meets the needs of all parties.
So to that point, I would like to reiterate what Mr. Jaya Singh had said, that you've taken the initiative to try to meet what, hasn't quite come to fruition yet. So I appreciate that effort, and obviously there's some time spent in the plans. There's some work to do in the next 2 weeks, obviously the ADA stuff and obviously the BRA stuff, and the CMP for Mr. Hesford. But will 2 weeks be enough time?
I don't know if it'll be enough time for us
Okay.
to pull together a meeting to discuss what of the Boylston Street Master Plan we should be moving forward with, and what is just kind of the first brush at, putting something out there. So if 4 weeks is okay with you, I think that we'd like enough time to have a meeting between the BRA and key city agencies.
Does that miss your program, 4 weeks?
I mean, we have to do what's right and we have to solve it. We would obviously like the shorter time period, but understand that meetings in decisions and time to fix the drawings are going to take some time. But
in full disclosure, this is not the first project that has come in front of the Public Improvement Commission that has fed off the Boylston Street Master Plan for this corridor. Fortunately, those projects didn't have this full
Realization of the
programming. So we like the fact that you are pushing the envelope. Just give us a little bit time to synchronize our clocks with your clocks, and if 4 weeks is manageable on your part, that I think might be a step in the right direction collectively, if that is okay with you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you on June 11th for a public hearing then. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Steve. Yep. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.